We are nearly at the end of 2023, and this year we've seen some really nice cards printed. In my opinion, some great sets. But what are the most expensive cards that have been released this year in 2023? Well, in this video, we'll be going through the top 10 most expensive cards released this year in 2023. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so today we'll be going through the top 10 most expensive cards that have been released this year in 2023. Now, I did a video last year going through what the most expensive cards that were released last year, and I think I also did the year before as well, so I'm carrying it on this year. Of course, this year we had sets like Crown Zenith, and then we had obviously the release of Scarlet and Violet. So there were a ton of great sets that have been released this year, to be honest. I think Crown Zenith was a great start to the year, and we're kind of ending the year on kind of a high with sets like 151 and even Paradox Rift with some good high value cards. We've got some honorable mentions today. Let me know in the comments, what do you think is going to be in this top 10 and what do you think number 1 is going to be? Alright, let's get into the honorable mentions. Okay, first honorable mention we have is the Zapdos EX. This is the special illustration rare from 151. So we're starting off the honorable mentions at $40, which is actually pretty good. I mean, over the last couple of years, it's been interesting to see how many cards we've had, you know, kind of in the honorable mentions going into the top 10. You know, obviously we're now used to some of these cards being really expensive, you know, $200 plus cards with things like the Giratina and the Gengar and things like that. But we're kind of bringing it down to normal levels, and there still is some expensive cards which we'll get to in this list. Right, this is my favorite card from 151. It is an honorable mention at $40. This card has dropped in price over the past few months since the release of 151, but it is a beautiful card nonetheless. 151 does have quite a few cards in this top 10. This one just about misses out. The next honorable mention we got is the Mewtwo V-Star from the Glaring Gallery of Crown Zenith. Crown Zenith has some good cards in this list, and $45, not bad. I mean, it has been dropping quite a bit. I mean, over the past 3 months, it dropped from around 55 to 45. If we go back since the year, you know, the start of the year, we can get a good idea of how well this card's done. Well, it's dropped over 50% in value. That's due to Crown Zenith being very heavily printed. This is still an absolute amazing card, but the value is dropping, and it's made it knock out of the top 10. Coming number 10, we have the Venusaur EX from 151. This is a beautiful, stunning card. I really rate it. 151 is an incredible set. It's holding pretty strong. It really is holding strong, and it does have, like I say, quite a few cards in this top 10. This is coming in number 10, which is actually quite interesting, at $46. So just about edging over that Mewtwo from Crown Zenith. But yeah, when this card come out, it's actually been going up since its release, which is actually quite interesting. And we saw that quite a lot with the 151 cards. They did go up in price since their release, which has helped them climb up this list and be in this list. You know, this is coming in number 10. Coming number 9, we have the Blastoise. So Blastoise just about beats the Venusaur. I'm in number 9 at $49. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. Really, really nice. Actually, fortunate enough to have it in my collection. About $50. It has gone up since its release. You know, it was 35. You know, did go up to as high as nearly 60, and it started to trickle down a little bit. I mean, this is not an easy card to pull in 151. Like I say, the pull rates are pretty tough. We might see a lot of these cards drop in value over, you know, into 2024 because it's going to get printed. It's going to be kind of printed at the same level as Crown Zenith, but the tougher pull rates might keep these cards' values up a little bit against the kind of resistance of overprinting or reprinting of a set like 151. The demand is high, the supply is low, but Pokemon are pumping out product to try and combat that, and that's definitely working, but it will be dropping the prices in the long haul. In number 8, we have the Arceus Gold V-Star. Now, this is, of course, from Crown Zenith. This is a beautiful, stunning card. All of the gold cards in Crown Zenith are amazing, from the Palkia, Dialga, Arceus, and of course the Giratina. But this has been dropping in value since its release. It's sitting at $54 right now. Over the past 3 months, it has dropped from $65 as the high, for about $10. So over the past year, it did come out at the beginning of the year. Again, over 50%, or basically 50% in value it has dropped. So not quite as much as the Mewtwo, but it has dropped quite a bit. Still a beautiful card to pick up. But yeah, it has been dropping quite heavily. Again, like the Mewtwo, due to a ton of reprints. The value of all of the cards have been dropping, and on top of that, the pull rates in Crown Zenith are pretty good. This to hold above $50 though is pretty impressive, I must say. Then we have the Fish. The Fish coming in. This is a beautiful card. It's actually just an illustration rare. It's not even a special illustration rare. from Paldea Evolved. It's actually really tough to get this card. Paldea Evolved has really tough pull rates, which does have a massive impact on the value of the cards across the board in this set. And we're going to start seeing that in a few other cards we'll get to later on. But this is coming in at $59, which is actually, like I say, really good for an illustration rare, not a special illustration rare. And over the past few months, it has been going up. And then basically since its release, I mean, it did come out quite low at like 28. Then it shot up to $80 and now is on the uptick again. There are a ton of amazing illustration rares in Paldea Evolved. And it's just a large pull, right? And so that's why the pull rates are quite tough. You get the specific cards that you need from that set. Paldea Evolved is getting cheap, you know, a lot of it around. So you can pick up a ton of booster boxes for a decent price. But yeah, Magikarp is holding strong at $59. Just missing out on the top 5, we have the Charizard Special Illustration Rare from Obsidian Flames. This is the big boy Charizard, the only card from Obsidian Flames that makes it into the top 10. All the other Charizards in this set have dropped massively in value, so they don't quite make it into the top 10 or even in the honorable mentions. This is still a pretty big card at nearly $60. Very, very close. And here's the thing with Obsidian Flames, pull rates are really good. It's a small set, good pull rates. One of the reasons why this card has been dropping so much in value over the past few months since its release. I mean, even over the past 3 months, it's dropped from 76 down to less than 60. But let's see when this first came out. So we'll go back 6 months because it hasn't been on that long. It did come out around about $100. It was the most expensive card in the Scarlet and Violet era at the time, and then it's just been falling. So it's dropped a fair amount, maybe like over the past like 3-4 months. It has been dropping like crazy. I do expect it to continue to drop with Obsidian Flames booster boxes being so cheap, and for more of it to be restocked / reprinted. Expect this card to continue to fall in value. But it still is in the top 10, but it's missing out on the top 5. Coming into the top 5, we have the Iron Valiant EX from Paradox Rift. This is a beautiful, stunning, colourful card. Like, I love it. The colours, everything about it, it just looks really, really nice. Now, with Paradox Rift, the pull rates are tough. Similar to Paldea Evolved, it's a huge set. Some brilliant artworks and cards in there, but it's the pull rates that has made the cards hold, and in this case go up in value. This card is $65 and it has dropped recently from high of 70, but it came out at 50. This card is doing pretty well. I do feel like though the more Paradox Rift gets opened, the more this card will be pulled and that it will continue to drop. But because the pull rates, like I say, are so tough, getting this specific card is like 1 in 700 packs, so it will hold good value. It won't drop as much as some of the other cards like that Charizard we just looked at, so it's holding pretty well, especially for a set that's not long come out. Then we got the Gold Giratina V-Star, which did come out in Crown Zenith at the beginning of the year. Now this card is an interesting one because again, like all the other cards from Crown Zenith, you know, heavy reprints, good pull rates, have a massive impact. This card held strong for the longest time. It did really, really well. It's not the easiest to pull, obviously. It is the most expensive card in Crown Zenith, sitting at $69. It did drop from $89, so it's dropped about $20 already in the past 3 months. We go back to when this first came out at the start of the year, and it was $162. It did go actually to as high as $170, and has dropped ever since. So this card's nearly dropped for like 2/3 of its value, which is just bonkers. So it's interesting to see where this card will kind of stop falling. I do feel like it might go to as low as 60, just because more and more Crown Zenith seems to be reprinted and restocked, and you know, this card's getting pulled more and more and more. It is a beautiful, stunning card. The fact is this card would be pretty much near the top of this list if it held its price, but it wouldn't over time just because of how much product is out there and how much this is getting pulled. Right, into the top 3, we have the Iono from Paldea Evolved. Beautiful card. I really like this trainer card. There was a lot of hype around this when it came from Japanese into English. Now in Japanese it was crazy money, like 1.5k raw. That has gone down since, but the English version tend not to do very well. Most of these trainer cards don't tend to do very well, although this is still doing really good. Paldea Evolved, like I say, similar to the Magikarp, off pull rates, big set, has a huge impact on the price of this. $86 for this card. I mean, it has dropped from over 100 within the last 3 months. So we go back to when this set first came out, there was a lot of hype, that's why it was like 175, and then it has dropped since, but it's hold somewhat good value. Bearing in mind, like similar to the Magikarp, we got so much product out there. This is holding decent value, and it is the most expensive full art trainer card. I actually think it's the most expensive full art trainer, even if you take into consideration the Sword and Shield era. So the Iono is doing incredibly well, and I do expect it to hold its value in the long haul and potentially start to bounce back up even higher further down the line when Paldea Evolved goes out of print. But right now, This is holding in the top 3 spot. Right, number 2, just missing out on the top spot, we have the Roaring Moon EX from Paradox Rift. So we've got 2 big cards from Paradox Rift in this top 10. This is a beautiful card. It is one of my favorite cards in the set. I have pulled it. It is a beautiful card, you know, to hold as well. $105. It's doing incredibly well, right? When Paradox Rift came out, it was around 75. And it went to as high as 115. It did drop that back down to 95, 96, and has trickled back up. This is very good. This is one of the very few cards that's over $100. I think it will hold, actually, to be honest. I think a lot of people really like this card. Like I say, artwork really does help it. And the pull rates, again, you know, open up 700 packs on average to pull this card is very, very tough. And that will help keep this card afloat with its value moving forward into next year. But we have to keep an eye on this one. This might be, you know, a good one to get and a good one to look out for. I do feel like Paradox Rift is a set where it's going to be tough to keep these card values low just because of it's not really a set that people are really cracking open and enjoying that much. So it'll be interesting to see. But before we get into the number 1, guys, you made this far into the video, make sure to smash that like button and make sure you subscribe for more Pokemon content. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers, so definitely make sure to smash that subscribe button. So what do you think number 1 is? Let me know down in the comments. It is a big one. It is worth a decent amount of money. And right now, it is the king of 2023. Let's take a look. Of course he is going to be the Charizard from 151. This special illustration rare is sitting pretty at $120. This is a big money card, to be fair. You know, I think any card $100 or more is very good. And I feel like there is good, strong cards in Scarlet and Violet era, and especially in 151. We've had quite a few from this list already, and this Charizard is flying high at $120, and it has actually gone up since its release, because when it came out, it was around 105. It did go up to 130 and it's kind of been trickling around. It did go back up to 135. This card sitting at 120 is doing pretty well. I do feel like it will drop though, because like I say, a lot of 151s being opened. There's more product to come. This isn't the easiest to pull because of 151 pull rates, but it's still holding good value over $120. I do actually think that the Roaring Moon might eventually overtake this Charizard going into next year. We'll have to wait and see. You know, we've seen big Charizards rise and we've seen them fall, just like the one from Brilliant Stars. So it'd be really interesting to see how well Charizard will hold going forward. It's not my most favourite Charizard art, really. I do prefer the one from Obsidian Flames, but this is still a nice card and a big money one at $120. There you have it, guys. Those are the top 10 most expensive cards released in 2023. Of course, we had some honorable mentions as well. But 151 is doing very well. But the thing is, no Scarlet and Violet base. Not a single card from the base set made it into the top 10 and nowhere near the honorable mentions. The most expensive card from that set is the Miriam. It only comes in at $25. Yeah, Scarlet and Violet base is not really a great set to open, and the value is not really there in Scarlet and Violet base, which is quite rough. But if you want to get a master set of it, it'd be a cheap master set to collect, so that's one good upside. But yes, Charizard is the king right now, in $120 from 151. There are a ton of cards from 151. I do feel like we've got to keep an eye on the Paradox Rift cards and Paldea Evolved, just because of the pull rates. But it'll be really interesting to see what sets are going to be coming out next year and how well these cards will perform going into 2024, especially when product starts to dry up from these sets. And we'll be taking a look at these cards and the top 10 as we go along into 2024, just like I did last year, where I reviewed the 2022 cards in 2023 to see how well they have performed over that period of time. Yeah, really interesting to see. I think Scarlet Violet's done pretty well. I mean, the heavy reprints of Ground Zenith absolutely hammered the values of a lot of the cards in that set because they did held pretty well. But overall, it is pretty decent. But if you know what great products to pick up for amazing gifts this Christmas, make sure to click the video on screen right now. And if you watch more Pokemon content, guys, make sure to smash that subscribe button. We are on the road to 10k. Let's get it there, guys. All right, that's it from me in this video. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are the legends. I'll see you in the next one.